Welcome! Welcome! I'm Halcyon, this is Hug Nation, and the topic today is about radical inclusion. I did a blog post for the Burning Man blog, and it was in honor of Easter and in honor of kind of the blurry lines between the faiths that are often reminded in Facebook posts and stuff when people say, you know, Easter's really about this, and it's about fertility and rebirth, and it's about spring. And I love that. I love when the absolutes of our stories, of our faith, of our spirituality kind of gets fuzzy. I love what Joseph Campbell, when he talks about myth and about stories and about how religions and the stories and the myths are all perfect and true if you can look at them as myth, if you can look at them as metaphor. Because the concepts are so massive, so awesome, so abstract that we need to put these grand religious ideas into a framework so that we can digest them and make sense of them. Parables, they're so important for that reason. But, he says, if you try to interpret any story as absolute fact, you're off the target immediately. Because every story is interpreted by the teller. Every individual, as they transfer thought to page, that goes through the experience that they've had. And your experiences, everyone's experiences are different. So, the book that my grandpa gave me, All Religions Are True by Gandhi, has the same sentiment, the idea that you can never truly understand the faith of another because you cannot understand the experiences that led them for that faith to be working for them as a framework for them. But you can appreciate it. And so during Easter, Passover, 420, spring, it's a beautiful time to appreciate the beliefs of others. Radical inclusion is all about that. And I think it's beautiful that radical inclusion is kind of another way of saying love thy enemy, love thy neighbor. And I needed another way to hear that because I had a chapter in my life when I was so against the church, so against any organized religion, because like many people, I was raised in a certain religious environment, and then as I learned of the history of how the institutions of the church have acted throughout history in terms of greed, in terms of corruption, in terms of oppression, and I was just like, what the pardon my language, but seriously, the atrocities done in the name of religion are so horrific that I got angry, and I got angry at Christians, and I judged people. Like, how could you be so stupid? How could you, and I had a chapter where I would really, if somebody opened their mouth and admitted to their faith, I would try to get in their face. Luckily, that was, I moved through that. And the first thing that helped me move through that was, first I just started to realize, well, you know what, these street preachers and things, everyone, they're well-meaning, I think. I think it's all their heart. It's not malicious. They really want to save me, so, okay. But the thing that really changed my perspectives and allowed me to stop with the anger, which, you know, as the Buddha teaches, you know, when you hold on to anger, you don't do the other person any harm, you just burn yourself with a burning ember, like holding on to a burning coal, like trying to teach them a lesson. But what let me let go was spending time with my grandpa. Reverend Caleb Elroy Sheichels, Grandpa Caleb, as he became known online. And during the last 3 years of his life, we co-hosted Hug Nation together. And during that time, I got to know a Christian deeply, beautifully. And he actually, during the end of his life, didn't call himself a Christian. He called himself a Baptist Buddhist or a Jesus man, because he felt that the word Christian had been tainted by so much of the manipulation and the commerce and the commercialism and the things that just seemed, as he would say, were just so out of line with the teachings of Jesus. So his advice to me was always, look, you can't go wrong listening to the teachings of Jesus. So just go read the Sermon on the Mount, and that should be enough. Forget the rest of it. And so getting to spend time with my grandpa and seeing the way that a man who spent 94 years trying to follow in the steps of Jesus, and seeing what kind of person that is, seeing what kind of life that creates, seeing what kind of ripples of love that creates, and also seeing what that path did for him when he listened to that teaching over the institutions of church. For example, he was part of congregations that were racist, and then discovered in his truth, because of what he learned by studying Jesus, like, I cannot treat a brother and a sister as different. And the same thing was true when he was in areas where there was persecution of gays, and he gave me the same thing. Like, my teachings show me that my socialization is wrong. So seeing in this path, this example of a what would Jesus do kind of example, really made me go, oh, I am throwing baby Jesus out with the bathwater. Have turned my anger and judgment on anyone who's connected to anything Jesus related. And I can't make that blanket statement now that I've truly met my grandfather. And then from that, I was able to open and meet many more amazing Christians. Jason, who's the co-founder of First Saturdays with me, such an admirable and inspiring person. And he is a humble servant of Jesus. I get in arguments a lot sometimes when people get anti-Christian. And I'm like, look, that's so broad. You can't say, the Christians are blank. It's like saying Americans are blank. There's so many types of people in the US. There's so many types of followers. There's so many different sects and things like this. So the other thing that spending time with my grandpa did is he was the one that really gave me permission to see Burning Man as my church and as my faith. When I would come back, he would ask me questions about, how was your place of worship? When I asked him about doing a wedding ceremony on the playa, he did not bat an eye, and he gave me the notes that he used to use for weddings, and he gave me the Bible that he had married over 1,000 couples with, and gave me his blessings to bring it to my sacred place. And the more I thought about it, the more, and it's so what I needed him to give me that permission. It's right, this was not just something hedonistic for me. This is a place where, just like with church, I get together with like-minded people. We reflect and affirm our beliefs to one another. We support one another. It's a congregation. And one of the really unfortunate things about the collapse of traditional institutions, religious institutions, is the collapse of congregations and communities and extended spiritual families. And it's tragic, because there is so much good that can happen when you hang out with people that say, we love you. You don't have to be anything except who you are. And if you're who you are, we love you. The magic ingredient at Burning Man is that radical inclusion, that you don't have to do or be anything except you. And if you are that, we will do whatever we can to support you. We may not agree, like, endorse, be able to stomach, or look at, but if there's any way that we can help you to get that you brighter, we would love to do so. And for a long time, I talked about Burning Man like it was the magic golden ticket, it was the magic bullet, it was the way to find out who you are. And over time, I've realized that oh, that's my way. That was my congregation. I didn't have a church that supported me, but for many people, it is a church, a youth group. I see it in all different places now, in the way that people find a community at Comic-Con and dress up in a way and find these parts of themselves blossoming. Or Marvin Ong and his flow community, or flow temple, and these groups of people that are into whatever flow arts. But it's not the activity that I find so inspiring. It is the community. That people, when you find the group that reflects to you and says, yeah, we like you, you're perfect. That does something, that fertilizes something in you that is such a gift to the world. And you see it in knitting circles. The thing that really made my head spin recently is watching a bunch of online videos and documentaries about the Juggalos, the gathering of the Juggalos, the Insane Clown Posse version of Burning Man, which is a festival with 50,000 plus people. And on quick glance, it looks like the most horrific, scary, I guess probably to me, it looks like a lot of people would probably think if they saw Burning Man. And what other people might think when they saw a church campground or a National Rifle Association meeting or whatever. But watching more and more of these videos and seeing the way that these people talked about the experience, and often people that admittedly had said, I never have belonged before. I have been rejected by everyone, including my family. And here, people accept me. This is my family. And they say, I don't even know these motherfuckers, but I love them. That's radical inclusion. That is transformative. That is magic. Now, the thing that I think is important to remember is that we practice radical inclusion on the playa amongst other theme camps. And so, whether it's somebody at the Death Guild smashing each other with their foam bats or whatever, I find it in myself to be like, yes, I support you in your expression. Or if you're lubed up at Comfort and Joy and taking on your 32nd partner of the night, I might go, yes, I support you in your acceptance of who you are, you're beautiful. Or whether you're into yoga, or whether you're into dancing all night, or whatever it is, I find a way on the playa to radically include and support and believe in and love the diverse theme camps and individuals at Burning Man. What then I need to practice is doing that in the default world. And so with the Juggalos, with crazy clown paint and horrible eating habits and over-sugared sodas poured on their heads, being like, I support that and I love that and I'm glad that you are finding that, because if it is you, it is beautiful. And I think that sometimes the hardest one of all is to have that same acceptance and love full circle to the people who are following those institutions that we feel like we've broke free of, for the Christians, or the people in traditional religions who our bias, because it was a block for us, we have a hard time radically accepting and including in the one family them. But it's important. I think that the beautiful part is realizing that, like Joseph Campbell said, like I think any of the teachers would say, when you use the stories, you use the frameworks to understand the relationships, to understand the connection, and then you recognize that the stories are all blurry. You don't have that much separation between the Juggalo or the Jesuit. We're all beautiful with divine inner lights, with flawed and scarred and damaged exteriors, with labels and identities that we try to make sense of the world. And if we can let go of all the differences between the outsides, then we can start to understand the teachings of all of these people, whether they be playa prophets or lost messiahs or the inner truth that is singing inside all of us, that we're one, we're connected, and who you are, if you shine it in the world, is a gift to all of us. So thank you. I love you. Let's have a hug. Grab yourself by the shoulders. And be grateful for this body, this shell that takes you through the world, and be grateful for the flawed, scratched up identity and personality that makes you identify with this group or that group. But recognize that this is also just a shell, and as you find yourself at odds with other individuals because of beliefs, it's just the shells clacking against each other. That deep down we are all these incredible divine lights, these perfect seeds, looking for the right environment, the right soil, the right balance of moisture and sun, so we can bloom and let ourselves blossom, sharing our colors and scent with the world. And the more we forgive and the more we accept, the more we are that fertilizer for others. And the more we let our blossoms bloom, the more we reflect that sunlight. And the more we are part of the solution, the more we are part of the direction towards love. Woo woo. Let's take 3 breaths together. In through the nose, hold it, and then out through the mouth. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the love warriors, happy Hug Nation. Thank you. I love you. Namaste. Thank you for shining your light. I hope this community, this weekly recalibration with Hug Nation is something that helps you to feel your light, know the